I mean, this weekend, I don't know, did y'all feel this too? This was just perfection. The whole weekend. Absolute and total perfection. You show up and the Cowboys can't even stay on the field. In Jerry's world, the cutaways to Jerry Jones were, I mean, I don't want to use the word orgasmic,
well,
but
you just did.
Yeah, something like short of that. But they were.
No, don't talk about that.
That's too late.
They were footballs, Mick. Okay? Like.
It's less fun.
So good. Thank you. So good. Then you watch the Rams like, oh, gosh. So close. So close. That's too bad. That's too bad. Jared Goff practically in tears as he gets his revenge on McVay.
Kelly Stafford up in arms.
That game was crazy. And then.
Not happy that they booed her husband in front of their kids.
Yeah. Well.
Leave the kids at home, Kel, because that's what happens.
Or don't leave.
The Bulls fans booed their deceased general manager who brought them 6 titles.
That was awful. That was awful.
Steve Kerr today, 5 o'clock. We can ask him about, because Steve had some very good and strong comments about that. The booing thing is, I mean, it's got out of control, Mark. We need to ban fans from games. Get out of here, Kelly.
No, actually, we were on Sunday night when that was happening, and it raised my eyebrows. I was kind of like, whoa, they're like booing Matthew Stafford. That surprises me a little bit. And Rudolph was like, it's just, no, that's just this moment. Like, because I thought that was a pretty amicable parting of ways. Stafford has been very, very aware, like the commercials he did, joking about never, never, never forgetting, the city of Detroit and loving that family so much and all that. So I that was that energy of that game. It's the first home game in 30 years.
Right.
You happen to be the one that showed up. It's your fault. You could have. By the way, Rams, you didn't play so hard there at Levi Stadium a week ago. You could have ripped through Dallas. It's your fault.
Right.
You're the ones who worked so hard to get to Detroit. You didn't need to do that. Could have lost the game.
Yeah, would have made things a little bit easier on yourself.
Yep.
Instead of having to go through Detroit.
Now you're home.
Yep.
We'll let you hear from Kyle Shanahan here in just a little bit. David in Modesto, though. Hey, David, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, I'm glad the Niners are in. And also, it was so upsetting last year when you did get hurt with Philly. So I'm glad Philly lost. But also what I got to say is when the Niners take the lead this weekend, which I'm hoping they're going to be doing, I'm hoping Kyle Shanahan doesn't take his foot off the gas. I hope he just keeps it on there and keeps on putting points up.
Yeah, David, I don't think it's interesting. The idea of, you've talked about this before, of him, freezing up in the playoffs or whatever. When I watch Kyle Shanahan coach, maybe not necessarily with the play calling, but I always feel like he's leaning a little bit too far in the direction of keeping his players in, for example, like longer than I would. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan takes his foot off the gas.
No.
Do you?
No, I don't think that is the main critique of Kyle Shanahan. For me, it's you get into big spots with big plays, and he gets conservative in those spots. That's where some fans have criticisms, and I would have the same in terms of, some 3rd and 4th down play calls that he's had in the past that I necessarily didn't agree with. And the other one is time management. And hopefully he doesn't have to get into a spot where the clock management, sometimes he's a little too conservative in terms of using his timeouts and maybe getting the ball back and punching it up for another score. And that's been something that I think he's been criticized of this year.
Shanahan on the Packers and what kind of a challenge they present.
They look real good versus Dallas. I think they've looked, haven't got to watch much of them until these last 10 days, and obviously picked it up a lot more these last 2 days. But I think they're a very good defense. The numbers don't always tell the truth. They had a couple games that got some cheap yards, but they're good in the run, good in the pass. They can get to the quarterback. They're extremely sound. They're getting healthier. A ton of respect for Joe. Got to work with him my first couple of years of my career in Tampa. He's been involved in a number of different defenses and playing against him a few times with the Rams, and Green Bay, his scheme just keeps getting sounder and better.
Kyle was also asked when he started the actual deep dive prep on Green Bay.
Started really focusing on him halfway through the second quarter. Then they scored at the end of the second quarter, so I kind of did both at halftime, and then third quarter I was set on one team.
Wow. It's great honesty.
Yeah. When'd you start prepping for him? As soon as I watched the game.
Right.
And saw that they were absolutely cutting through Dallas, doing whatever they wanted offensively.
It was when the pick six happened for me, and that was with minute 50 to go, and that made it 27-0. Because you figure, okay, 20-0. Wow. Packers are dominating. All right, Dallas. And Dallas goes down. They're marching down. Whoops. Little 64-yard pick six. So instead of maybe you go in at the end of the half and you score and you make it, 20-7. Dallas is still in trouble, but maybe momentum comes back a little bit. But instead, the pick six, they did score before the end of the half, but that was almost cosmetic to make it 27-7.
Yeah, you're down 27 points in a game. You could have things go perfectly the rest of the way. You're still probably going to lose.
Was it last year that we saw that happen?
The Chargers and Jags?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was, what was that, Grandy? Was that 27-3? I want to say that was maybe 27-3 at half, something like that. And maybe it was 27-0. And by the way, like everything had to be absolutely perfect. Plus, the other team has to be the Chargers. I don't know if you know that rule.
I didn't know that was a rule.
What was it, Grandy?
It was 27-0, and then the Jaguars got a touchdown just before the half. So 27-7 at half.
So exact same scenario.
Right.
Exact same scenario as this one.
Only difference is the Jags come out and use 7 minutes and score a touchdown and get within 13 points, whereas the Cowboys got the ball and
everyone got a field goal.
Well, they marched down, though.
Yes. They
were moving down the field, and you're thinking, okay, 27-14, get the crowd back in it, but a fourth down fizzle or a third down fizzle, and you wind up with a Brandon Aubrey field goal, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but the more important thing was then what happened on defense when the Packers got the ball back, and they just went, whoop, they just right down the field again, touchdown, and you have to be able to obviously stop the other side. Pretty stunning, I would say. Pretty stunning based on things that have been said throughout the year, that the Cowboys and Browns defenses looked as they did when they finally got to the playoffs. Those are two defenses that have been mentioned as top 5 defenses all year long, and they could not do a damn thing to stop the opponent. They couldn't even slow the opponent down.
Right.
Like these drives that the Texans were going on, the Packers, it was just like, bang, over. I mean, I think time of possession, you look at the yardage numbers and the output for Dallas offensively, and it's stunning. It looks like they dominated the game.
5-10 to 4-15.
Right.
Dallas.
That's because the Packers would just go, whoop, touchdown. Okay, your ball. It was unbelievable. Absolutely stunning.
The time of possession was 31 minutes for Dallas, 29 for Green Bay. But to your point, I think a lot of the Dallas yards came on the last couple of drives where it was not necessarily garbage time, but it was desperation time, and they almost had a chance to make that thing scary close. They were one play away from maybe making that game possible to be a nail-biting comeback. But
talking about the Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were running out of time, but they had started to put together at least a couple of plays, and they got a couple of touchdowns back-to-back to make it from an absolute shellacking to, all right, one more onside kick, and Green Bay kind of bobbled that one with 3 minutes to go. They still needed 2 scores, but that thing could have gotten a little bit more interesting.
Put it this way. I started building a dresser.
IKEA?
Yeah. No, I actually don't even know. I got it on Nextdoor. I bought it off somebody on Nextdoor, so I don't know where it came from.
And it was in pieces?
No. But yeah, it was just like they bought it, and they're like, oh, actually, this doesn't work. Do you want it? So I bought it still in the box.
Nice.
Yeah. What's in the box? It's a dresser. And so then,
dowels and screws and the whole thing?
Yeah, put that sucker together.
All right,
I was
look at you.
Not worried about this football game.
Gotcha.
So, you start doing, you leave the game on.
I feel like the interview of Shanahan, at what point did you start putting the dresser together?
Well, I know it's very out of character for me to actually use my hands and build something. Very out of character.
But at what point did you decide it was okay to go to the dresser building? Like midway through the third?
As soon as the Packers when it was 27-10, and the Packers were like, yeah, but give us the ball. And they went, whoop, and I'm like, okay, this is not, that's it. 34-10, deuces.
Yeah.
That's over.
Shout out Chris Brown.
Okay. 49er fans, you're worried about Jordan Love. Here's what Kyle Shanahan said about Jordan Love.
He's come a long way because he's playing at such a high level. To get thrown in there early in this year and have to go through some ups and downs, which he did some good things earlier in this year too, but to not win all those games, kind of when you're with a tough record in your first year, the pressure that comes with that, and just to watch him each game, he's been consistent. For him to take care of the ball the way he's done has been unbelievable. I mean, the 21 touchdowns and 1 pick, I think over the last 10 games is unbelievable. He's extremely consistent in what they're asking him to do. Matt is very good at coaching the quarterback, and you can see that their quarterback is buying in and, plays very well in their system and makes a lot of plays, has a big arm, and is a big dude too.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Packers have gone and done it again. They've found another guy, and he looks really, really good, and his regular season numbers in the end are essentially where you want them to be. Let's see. Completion percentage, a little bit lower than the top guys in the league. He was only at 64, but he's just short of 4,200 yards passing, a touchdown to interception ratio of 32-11. It feels like we didn't start paying attention till about 7 or 8 weeks ago. Part of that is because the Packers weren't winning football games. And look, not every performance down the stretch was fantastic. Here's what I think. I think Jordan Love is he has earned the starting quarterback job going forward in Green Bay. And I think he has the makings of being a really good quarterback in this league for a long time. I also think that in this moment, we've decided he's something a little bit more consistent and clear than what he is, because he had a stunning performance on national TV in a standalone game in the playoffs.
Yes, but also if you look at what he did over the course of not only the last 3 weeks, but I'm looking at it here, his game log, the last 9 games, he threw 1 interception over the last 9 games. They went 7-2, and he was spectacular. He had, I believe, 19 touchdowns and 1 pick.
Yep.
And you look at that receiving core, and I'll include the tight ends in there. It's a young receiving core, and it's pretty diverse. They've got a number of different weapons that they can use to beat you. They've got a very good running back. Even though my guy A.J. Dillon on my fantasy team is out hurt, they can run it, and they've got 2 different tight ends they can use, 4 different receivers, and I think they're going to come out and present a whole different look in terms of what the 49ers defense is used to as far as their personnel goes.
Aaron Jones has been very, very hot, and the 49er run defense has left a little something to be desired out there in the absence of Eric Armstead.
Yeah.
But Eric is tracking toward being back, and you hope that will shore things up a little bit, especially if it's wet weather this weekend, which is currently in the forecast. We know how this thing is going to go. The run is going to set up the pass for these teams. If Aaron Jones comes out and is rolling downhill and chunking 5 to 7 yards a carry, Jordan Love's going to do well, because I loved what Nick Bosa said about this. He's like, look, Aaron Rodgers was a great QB, but sometimes he would go off and do his own thing. And as a teammate and somebody with a plan, sometimes you like a guy who goes out there and does exactly what he's coached to do. And the double meaning was obvious. He was not just talking about Jordan Love. He was talking about Brock Purdy. And so, yeah, these two guys, maybe they mirror each other a little bit.
Yeah.
They both go out there, and they have systems that are similar. LaFleur is off of the Shanahan tree, and they go out there and they do what they're asked to do. And wouldn't you know it, it goes well when you do that.
It's funny you describe them both that way, because both have a big streak of gunslinger in them. And I think about Jordan Love and how many throws he made off his back foot. And Brian Baldinger this morning with the guys had a great comment about Jordan Love when he's pressured, he doesn't roll right or left, he rolls backward, and it's because he has so much confidence in his arm. And I think about Brock Purdy, and I can't remember which game it was, when he rolled left and he threw that ball all the way back across the field over Kittle's head, and it was to Ayuk, and Ayuk jumped over 2 defenders and was able to get it, and Shanahan was mad about it because it wasn't the throw that he thinks should have been made in that moment.
That was Thanksgiving night in Seattle.
It was? Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thanksgiving.
Put the game away.
There's a sense of gunslinger that these both these guys have. They do run the system. Both teams have great offensive systems, but both these QBs, they'll try to make a play now outside of doing what they're quote-unquote told to do.
Well, that's absolutely got to be part of it. You do what you're coached to do until that's not there, and then you try to do something else, and both of them have done well with that. You're talking about what Baldy said on the Morning Roast with regard to Jordan Love. Here it is.
What Jordan will do more frequently is back up. And he'll buy himself an extra tick because he trusts his arm to be able to deliver an accurate throw off the back. And it happened on the touchdown to Dontavian Wicks when he had pressure right in his face from Dallas. And instead of trying to elude the pressure and escape right or left, he just simply backed up. And I don't even know how you teach that because you don't see many guys be able to do that. But it is a skill that he has that allows him to rescue a lot of plays. And sometimes that's all he needs is just an extra tick or half a tick to be able to make the throw. And he is really adroit at making that move.
You got an adroit in there?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the IG comments.
Yeah, that's different.
Skillful, adroit, excellent, elite use of adroit by Baldy there.
That was the throw. The one he's referring to, that was the one. I think, look, I've watched a lot of Jordan Love this year, and he's nice. He's really nice. And
ball looks so pretty coming out of his hand.
He can play. There's no two ways about that. But that was the throw where, and the game kind of felt decided. But he made that throw, and this one really put it away. I think that was the one that made him, did they get to 41 or did they get to 48? Whatever it was late in the game. And that throw where you went, oh. Because it wasn't just off his back foot. It wasn't just backing up. It was thread right between two defenders. Like it didn't even look like it was available.
Right.
And then, poof, there it was. The next thing you know, Wicks is celebrating in the end zone. So, yeah, they've got that in them. But this is a different challenge for Jordan Love.
It is.
This is a way different test than anything he's passed so far this year.
That was the throw late in the second that made it 20-0, but it was the throw that made you feel like, okay, if they're going to make that play and now it's 20-0 and miss the PAT, who cares? But that was the throw where I thought, man, this Green Bay offense, and I know it's a different animal. I mean, the Niners defense, if their pass rush can push the pocket from in front of him, then maybe it doesn't matter how far you can back up, especially when you've got Young and Gregory and Bosa, as Baldy will call him. If they're coming around the outside, it could be a long day for Jordan Love, but it's going to be fun to watch the chess match between LaFleur and Wilkes because Green Bay's got, and you look at their team, Mark, they've got 4 tight ends they use. They use 4 wide receivers, and the majority of these guys are either rookies or second-year players.
They're all young guys.
All young guys.
Yeah, Dobbs and Wicks.
The aforementioned Wicks.
Yep. The whole group is they're fast and they're young.